Private Miller knelt in the freezing mud, the world around him a miserable shade of gray. Rain had been falling for days, turning the Belgian forest into a cold, muddy soup. With numb fingers, he peeled off his heavy, soaked sock and wrung out a stream of dirty water. The brief relief was a lie. His foot was already pale and cold, and the sock would be soaked again instantly. This was his reality, a battle not against bullets, but against water. Wringing out a sock became a ritual of survival, repeated by millions across the war. Water was a relentless invader, seeping through uniforms, clinging to skin, and stealing body heat. Soldiers learned that a dry uniform was a luxury, and dry socks were a treasure. The fight to stay dry was constant and exhausting, defining daily existence. The cold wasn't just uncomfortable, it was a physical threat, draining strength and morale. Wetness amplified the cold, making every day feel like a polar expedition. The true enemy was the very fabric they wore, turned against them by endless rain. This hidden war against the elements was often more terrifying than combat itself. As Miller pulled the damp sock back on, he resigned himself to another day of being cold, tired, and hopelessly wet. His small battle was a microcosm of a much larger, silent war. Why was being wet so dangerous? It comes down to simple science. Your body generates heat, and your clothes trap warm air to keep you insulated. But when water replaces that air, everything changes. Water conducts heat away from the body 25 times faster than air. Wet clothes act like a siphon, pulling warmth from the body at an alarming rate. A dry uniform on a cold day is uncomfortable. A wet one is life-threatening. Wool, common in WWII uniforms, could absorb water and still insulate a bit, but even it became heavy and cold when soaked. In relentless rain, even wool was overwhelmed. Soldiers often didn't realize how much heat they were losing until it was too late, shivering, clumsy, confused. This wasn't just discomfort, it was a medical emergency unfolding inside their uniforms. The real enemy wasn't just the cold air, but the water held against their skin. For thousands, this silent process of heat loss was deadlier than bullets. The laws of physics became a hidden assassin on the battlefield. Wool offered some protection, but cotton was a soldier's worst enemy in the wet. Cotton, used for undergarments and summer uniforms, is comfortable when dry, but deadly when wet. It soaks up water, loses all insulation, and clings to the skin, accelerating heat loss. Soldiers wrapped in wet cotton were essentially wrapped in cold water. Even sweat could be dangerous, as cotton absorbed it and chilled the body during rest. The phrase "cotton kills" became a grim truth. In cold, wet conditions, cotton clothing became a trap, making soldiers sick and vulnerable. A fall into a river or a heavy sweat could quickly turn fatal. In WWII, wearing cotton in the cold was like carrying a secret enemy, waiting for rain or sweat to strike. Wet boots were a direct assault on a soldier's foundation, his feet. Leather boots, once soaked, took ages to dry, trapping feet in cold, wet misery. Soldiers marched through mud, stood in water-filled foxholes, and slept in damp ditches. This led to trench foot, a condition where constant moisture and cold caused skin to break down, blood flow to stop, and tissue to die. Feet would swell, turn white or blue, become spongy, and in severe cases rot and require amputation. Soldiers tried to dry their boots, but field conditions made it nearly impossible. The cycle was relentless: wet boots, wet feet, and mounting injuries. In the winter of 1944-45, over 45,000 US soldiers suffered cold weather injuries, mostly trench foot. That's 3 divisions lost to wet feet, not enemy fire. A soldier with trench foot was out of the fight, straining medical resources. The simple problem of wet boots became a strategic crisis. The boots meant to protect became instruments of torture. The misery of constant wetness didn't just attack the body, it broke the mind. Waking up cold and wet, knowing the day would bring more of the same, wore down morale and willpower. A wet, miserable soldier was less alert, slower to react, and more likely to make mistakes. Hopelessness set in. Why dig a foxhole or clean a rifle if it would just get wet again? The desire for comfort led to risky behavior, and chronic fatigue dulled every sense. The wet didn't just chill bodies, it drowned spirits, making every day a struggle to keep going. In this war against water, a dry pair of socks became a symbol of hope and survival. Commanders realized that dry feet were essential for combat readiness. Foot discipline was drilled into troops. Dry your feet, change socks, massage circulation. Soldiers carried spare socks inside their shirts, using body heat to keep them dry. Wet socks were dried under armpits or around necks for the next rotation. The U.S. Quartermaster Corps prioritized socks as critical supplies, sometimes even airdropping them. A platoon with trench foot was as useless as one out of ammunition. Generals like Patton obsessed over foot care, knowing an army that can't march can't win. The humble sock became medicine, a tool and a lifeline in the hidden war against wet. Foot care was a lesson learned from the horrors of the trenches. The suffering of WWII soldiers changed military gear forever. Cotton kills became a mantra, driving a revolution in clothing design. The layering system was born. Synthetic base layers wick moisture, insulating layers trap warmth, and waterproof shells keep rain out. Modern materials like polyester and Gore-Tex keep soldiers dry and warm, a feat impossible in WWII. These innovations save lives on battlefields and mountain trails alike. The memory of the wet death reminds us that nature is as deadly as any enemy. Every time we put on a synthetic base layer, we benefit from lessons paid for in misery. We remember their struggle, not just for the battles they fought, but for the silent war against the cold and the wet.